Kia ora and welcome to this episode of The Amateur Austenite. I'm Frances Duncan, an author and the founder of the Jane Austen Society of Aotearoa, New Zealand. My co-host is Amme.
Kia ora.
Today we're discussing chapter 30 of Northanger Abbey. Catherine mopes till the arrival of Henry answers all her hopes and queries. I feel you have a rant inside, let it out.
Fucking Thorpes. Look, we knew that John Thorpe was a fucking jerk. We knew that he was a contradictory, self-serving bastard. We knew that the Thorpe family had aspersions of grandeur and money on Catherine's family by virtue of them existing, I suppose. I'm still struggling to see where they determined that they had to have had a fortune squirreled away, but I don't know. I assume if you're broke, you assume everyone is less broke than you, and why they decided that less broke than them meant £15,000 per child is whatever. I don't need to understand the mind of the bastard to hate the bastard. But yes, the fact that he, at that first, interaction that we spotted where he's talking to the general is like, oh, they're so rich and wealthy. I'm so happy that my sister is marrying into the family. I'm so excited to be marrying one of them as well, because I'm definitely gonna nail that one down. Nothing about me personally could possibly cause an issue here. And, built them up so lavishly to have the general be like, oh, I must certainly have Catherine marry my son because I desperately need another £15,000. It's not enough that I'm already stinking rich. I certainly need additional money to make my life happy. To the absolute confusion of his children when he's like, oh, she's so lovely. Isn't she so lovely? She's so lovely. Because he thinks that she's got money and is a hot catch. And then, he did bump into someone who could cast aspersions on the family. The same person who told him a bunch of lies, and for some reason he determines that this person who lied to him a couple months ago is going to be telling him the outright truth now? Really? Really? Are you kidding me? No! Obviously he's going to lie more, just in the opposite direction. Mr. Man, you are a moron! Yeah! So, fucking Thorpes. But also, this definitely means that the kids could have had a chance at getting ahead of this if they had presented the relationship breakdown thing, like the engagement destruction that Captain Tilney instigated, because they could have kind of prefaced or gotten ahead of and been able to turn it into not you, General, were so horrifically taken in and made fool of that you must now destroy the relationship that you have been nurturing for the past 4 weeks while you had a 17-year-old girl basically stuck in your house before you kicked her out into the wilds of England to make her own way home, you absolute jerk. Could have been like, hey, so it turns out that the Thorpe family are all really awful people and have been trying to manipulate a whole bunch of families and present it in this way so that the general can be like, clearly that young man is a money-grubbing, terrible person who I should not trust the opinion of, and then make it seem like it was his own idea not to trust the Thorpes, rather than still trusting the Thorpes.
That's a really good point, though, that I don't think has been pointed out before. Had they said something about what happened with Isabella, perhaps he wouldn't have listened to John Thorpe.
Because the kids are very much, it's that thing of, everyone is very isolated at the Abbey. So they don't know why the general is so stoked with Catherine. So, it makes sense that they wouldn't think that, one random interaction was the thing that kickstarted all of this. Fucking Thorpes.
If I named episodes, this one would be called Fucking Thorpes, because I think you've said that 3 times now.
Yeah, well, I believe it, I mean it. I love that, and this chapter is very long, so it may have been in the previous chapter, but this is just how we're going to be living life, because I don't get to be in another episode before the end, and I haven't read the last chapter yet, so you just get to deal. is that when they go and visit the Allens to, you know, talk about how awful this whole situation has been, that Mrs. Allen is like, well, we were so lonely in Bath until we met the Thorpes, though, weren't we? And then our fortunes all changed. And it's like, you have so missed the entire point of the situation. But okay. And she's like, oh, and did you dance with someone at that ball? I can't remember. I was wearing my favourite dress. It's like, babes, sweetheart, please. I need you to pay attention to, like, slightly what is going on.
It's been 2 days. Catherine's just had this big traumatic thing happen. She's been home for 2 days and she can't sit still. She's all agitated.
And her mum's like, we gotta fix this. And it's like, or maybe just let your daughter be sad for a bit.
Right? Right. Because her mother's like, you need to be useful. You've had some fun, now you need to be useful. She does not even think about the fact that she's just been through a really traumatic event.
Yeah. It's like, sorry, you're treating this like your daughter didn't get kicked out of a house and made to travel 11 hours home from a place that she didn't know to a place that she didn't know how to get to. You should be so much more angry at General Tilney than you are.
Yeah, they're really chill about it. And she's
they're
like,
way too chill about it.
You shouldn't fret about him. It's very simple of you. Dude. What? And then she goes on to say, you should always be contented wherever you are, especially at home, because you spend most of your time there. I wonder whether this is Jane Austen's genuine feeling or whether she's kind of mocking Mrs. Moreland here. The Morelands are such, I think Austen wants them to be seen as quite simple. So therefore they don't understand the motivations and all the big highfalutin everything.
To the point where they're like, well, it shouldn't matter. Like, if I don't understand it, it shouldn't matter. And it's like, but you want your children to have good lives and to be able to interact with people. And in order to be able to interact with people, they need to be able to recognise that part of society. Especially if you are, like, you're, like, poor wealthy, but you're still wealthy, you know?
I mean, it's a bit like people who homeschool and isolate their kids, because not all homeschoolers isolate, but isolating their kids from the rest of society and then being like, you'll be fine, off you go.
Yeah, it's like, head off to university. It's like, excuse me?
They are not prepared. Mrs. Moreland's like, well, I've got an essay you can read that's going to fix everything. So much is hoped from this little essay. And then when she comes back down, Mr. Tilney's there.
Ooh.
He begins to apologise and he's like, I understand that you probably don't want me here. I just want to make sure that Catherine's okay. Which is very sweet.
It's very sweet.
Also kind of a lie, because that's not his intention.
No, not even a little bit.
No, he's like, yeah, can we go for a walk, maybe? Just us.
Yeah. Where did our Allens live? Catherine, can you show me? And her sister being like, they're just over there. Like, in peak sister behaviour.
Such a sister thing. They have really awkward small talk. They talk about the weather and the roads. And at a quarter of an hour, Mrs. Moreland has nothing left to say. And Henry's like, oh, crap, how do I get out of this? And then when they go to the Allens, they're both so like caught up in each other that he's just talking at random and she's not talking about anything because she's just so excited, because on the walk there, he's like, oh, by the way, I do love you, and do you want to marry me? Austen doesn't say this though. She's like, Catherine was assured of his affection and that heart in return was solicited, i.e. the solicitation is, will you marry me?
Yeah, we don't get an actual on-page proposal. No. That would be far too ridiculous.
And Austen's all like, I feel kind of bad telling you guys this because it's not good for my heroine's dignity, but he just fell in love with her because she was in love with him.
Yeah.
It's a new thing, but it's my thing. I made it up. Part of the reason that Henry proposes, not only because he loves her, but he feels that he has led her on by spending all this time with her and stuff, like that she would be suspecting a proposal. So despite his father saying, no, you're never to think of her, he's like, sorry, gotta go do this. She's actually quite happy that he didn't tell her that the father disapproved beforehand. Otherwise she might have felt like she should say.
Yeah, she would have felt like, my dad says I can't marry you, but I still think I need to ask you, so I'm going to ask you, but you need to say no so that we can all just be proper about this. Like,
and it's not that.
It's like, nah. He wants to marry her cool, we good, we're doing this, sweet, awesome. Dad's not going to be fond of it, but that's him.
But when he explains the motives of his father, she gets to feel triumphant delight. She's like, oh, he wanted me for my imaginary money? That's what this whole thing was about? Oh, I'm glad that we're getting married. And
she's like, wow, I guess that me deciding that he probably, like, killed his wife in, like, a gothic scheme wasn't actually besmirking his character.
Yeah.
I guess I frickin' called it. Maybe not in the way that I thought I called it, but I frickin' called it.
Wanting someone to marry someone for money versus murdering your wife, are they equal? Because Catherine does pretty much say, yeah, it's kind of equal.
But it's not just the wanting someone to marry them for money thing that she's calling out. She's also calling out the, like...
Kicking her out of the house.
Dramatically because someone lied to you twice.
I have difficulties with John Thorpe. I think he's literally delusional. He thinks so much of himself that he has to think everyone around him is great also. So he doubles the amount of money that he thinks Mr. Moreland has. And then...
halves the amount of children and then halves it again.
And then has a rich aunt and says Catherine will have 10 or 15,000 pounds and she's going to get Mr. Allen's estate as well. And General Tony's like, well, you're going to marry into this family, so you must know what's going on. But had Thorpe come down to earth and realised that Catherine did not have that money, would he have treated her as badly? What would he have done?
The thing with John Thorpe that I kind of have to keep coming back to is that he seems very much like a man for whom consequences have never actually existed. He has never had to face the consequences of just talking shit. So he's been able to just say stuff and come up with stuff and talk about how great something is and also how awful it is in the same breath. And just like keep being this. And the consequences have never fallen back on him. And they still haven't. Because the first person that General Tilney, like, turns on and has consequences fall on when he gets the revelation that, like, those lies were lies, but also these lies are also lies, but is Catherine. He still takes John Thorpe at his word.
John Thorpe has to deal with the impact of Isabella's actions. He's trying to get her and Moreland back together, and it's the failure of that happening makes him so spiteful to really go at the general about things. And he decides to no longer be friends with James Moreland either, as he couldn't gain anything from the friendship anymore.
Yeah.
You kind of got to wonder how the hell he and James were friends, because James seems like a genuinely nice guy.
Well, that's the issue. It's the same issue that we had with Catherine meeting Isabella, is that they are such good, genuine people. They are looking for the good and genuineness in other people so thoroughly that they are ignoring the red flags because they don't even, like, register that these are... The red flags look like confetti at a parade. It's like it's just another fun colour of flag. It's not actually doing the red flag thing.
John Thorpe wants to cast himself in the role of hero.
Yeah.
Also, because he's like, I realised this was all a lie. It was me. They don't have money. They're living above their means. They seek to better themselves by wealthy connections. They're bragging, scheming race, which, oh my God, does that not sound like his family?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the thing is, like, they're not living above their means. They are living within their means, like, probably to the, like, penny. Like, they're probably very specific about how they're living to be within their means, because they've got a lot of kids. But they're also prepared for those kids growing up and moving out and starting families. You know, it's you'll have £400. We'll find you a role a job that'll also give you another £400. Like, they have thought about the fact that we have 10 kids. We need 10 kids worth of life set up ready to go. That's... I don't have a kid's worth of life set up in me. I don't have, let alone 10. I'm not sure anyone is prepared to, like, set up and establish 10 children's, like, livelihoods. Especially in an age where, like, that was so much harder to establish and so much more was expected of the parents in the setting up. Like I said earlier about how, like, Bank of Mum and Dad is often like the reason that kids can like move out for university and stuff. And I'm not wrong, but there is still an expectation that like by the end of university, that bank will have closed its doors. Like maybe they open again for like a first home purchase, as if that's a thing that can happen for this economy. But like by the time you're like mid-20s at the absolute latest, you will no longer be relying on your parents in the same way that like it seems very much like, your parents are expected to continue to provide assistance for you.
Until they die.
Until they die. People say now that, having kids, it's an 18-year commitment. This was a lifelong commitment. They've got 10 of them. These guys are doing math in, like, advanced calculus stages. Everyone else is doing, like, 1 + 1.
There's a lot of telling in this chapter. Jane Austen steps in and is like, I'm going to tell you everything that went down, just uniting it all for ease.
Putting it all together makes my life easier, so you got to separate it out again. Just deal with it.
Just imagine that maybe Jane said this and Henry said this, and you get the whole story at once. You're welcome.
I don't get any letter chapters.
So, there is one chapter remaining. What do you think is going to happen?
I hope that we get some kind of like, hey, look, the situation has been resolved vaguely positively, and Catherine gets to drink tea in the newly decorated room at Henry's house because it now has the woman's touch it needed.
That sounds quite lovely. And that's our discussion of Chapter 30 of Northanger Abbey. I'm Frances Duncan, this has been Amme. Thank you for listening, and we wish you happy reading.